Most people believe wealth is built by keeping money. That belief will cost them everything. For thousands of years, the families who built lasting financial positions operated on a completely different principle, one that felt counterintuitive, that looked like sacrifice from the outside, and that the modern world has entirely forgotten. Solomon encoded it in a single verse. Ancient households practiced it without exception. And yet today, almost no one is taught it. Visible money creates spending. Invisible money creates wealth. And the moment you truly understand the difference between those two statements, the financial system you have been operating inside of will never look the same again. Stay until the end, because what you are about to hear is not a strategy. It is a reckoning. There is something most people never question about money. They assume that wealth and visible cash move together. That a growing bank balance means a growing financial position. That the person with the highest salary in the room is the one building the most. This assumption is not just wrong. It is the exact reason most people will work their entire lives and arrive at the end of it with very little to show for the decades they spent earning. What you are about to hear is not a strategy. It is not a formula from a modern financial course. It is a philosophy, one that was practiced by households thousands of years ago, encoded in ancient texts, and quietly preserved by the families who understood it. And the philosophy begins with a statement that will feel uncomfortable at first. The wealthiest households in history often kept very little visible money. Sit with that for a moment. Not because they were poor, not because they spent everything, but because they understood something about money that the modern world has entirely forgotten. Visible money creates spending, and invisible money creates wealth. They did not measure their financial position by what was in their hand. They measured it by what they had already converted, already structured, already removed from their daily reach. This is where we begin. Think about the modern financial life cycle for a moment. A salary arrives, bills are paid. The lifestyle adjusts quietly upward. A small amount remains in savings. The next month, the same cycle repeats. Maybe the income increases. Maybe the savings grow slightly. But the structure never changes. Most people measure their financial progress by income, by salary increases, by the number visible on their banking application every morning. They believe that when that number is high, they are doing well. When it is low, they are behind. But here is what that measurement never captures. A man can earn a significant income for 30 years and still arrive at the end of those 30 years with no real ownership, no assets producing income without his labor, no structure that survives without him. He was not irresponsible. He was not reckless. He simply measured the wrong thing for 3 decades. He measured income. He should have been measuring structure. This is the modern wealth illusion, the belief that increasing income automatically leads to increasing wealth. It does not. Income without structure is just a larger lifestyle, and a larger lifestyle is not wealth. It is a more expensive version of the same cycle. Now consider a completely different philosophy. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 11, there is a principle written in plain language. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. Read that again, slowly. Whoever gathers little by little will increase it. This is not a motivational phrase. It is a structural description of how wealth was actually built in ancient households. Ancient families did not build wealth through salary cycles. They built it through land, through livestock, through stored reserves, through ownership that was accumulated slowly, separated from daily life, and never touched for the sake of convenience. The ancient household did not think monthly. It thought in seasons, in years, in the position it would leave for the generation that came after. And crucially, the ancient household separated money before spending anything, not after, before. Income arrived and was immediately divided. A portion went to daily life. A portion went to reserves that would not be touched. And a portion was converted into something that could not be easily spent: land, tools, livestock, durable goods. The money that could be spent was the smallest category. The money that could not be spent was where wealth was actually being built. This is the structure that the modern world has abandoned entirely. Now we arrive at the assumption that must be broken before anything else makes sense. Most people believe that wealth comes from the money they keep. That is the assumption. It feels reasonable, it feels logical. Keep more money, have more wealth. But this is not what the evidence of ancient household management suggests. And it is not what the philosophy of structured wealth reveals. Wealth comes from the money you remove from your lifestyle, not money you keep visible. Not money you save in an account you check regularly and occasionally pull from when life demands it. Money that is permanently removed. Money that is no longer part of your daily financial world. Here is why the distinction matters. Visible money invites consumption. This is not a moral criticism. It is a behavioral reality. When money is accessible, it feels available. When it feels available, it is used. The discipline required to keep large sums visible and untouched is enormous, and for most households, over long enough time periods, it fails. An emergency arrives. An opportunity appears. Social pressure increases. A lifestyle upgrade feels justified. Invisible money does not invite consumption. It cannot be spent impulsively because it has already left the accessible financial world. The removal is a protection. This is the assumption break. Wealth is not built from the money you hold. It is built from the money you no longer have access to in your daily life. This brings us to the principle at the center of everything that follows. It is called the Lazarus Effect. In ancient tradition, Lazarus was a man who died and was raised again, not as the same person, but transformed. What ended in one form returned in another. This is precisely what happens to money in a structured wealth system. Money dies in your daily life, so it can be reborn as something greater later. It leaves your bank account, it leaves your lifestyle, it disappears from your visible financial world. And in that disappearance, it is transformed. It becomes ownership, it becomes assets, it becomes a structure that compounds quietly over years and eventually produces without your labor. The money that left was gone from your life. The wealth that returned was a different category entirely. This is the Lazarus Effect. And the mechanism that makes it operational is called the Lazarus Allocation Rule. Every income that enters a disciplined household is divided into three categories. The first is living money. The second is silent money. The third is dead money. Each of these categories has a specific function. Each of them is treated differently. And the proportion that goes into each one determines not just financial outcomes, it determines who you become as a financial entity. We will return to the full structure. But first, there is something more important than the rule itself. The difference between households that build wealth and households that do not is not income. It is identity. There are two distinct financial identities operating in the world at any given time. The first is the earner. The earner manages money monthly. Income arrives, allocation is made emotionally and reactively. Lifestyle adjusts to match what is available. The earner's primary relationship with money is spending management. He is always working to keep the balance between what comes in and what goes out. The earner measures success by comfort, by whether the month felt manageable, by whether savings are slightly higher than last month. The second identity is the builder. The builder does not manage money monthly in the same sense. The builder removes money permanently from lifestyle, before comfort is adjusted, before lifestyle is considered, before anything is spent. The builder's primary relationship with money is structural. The question is never, what do I have left? The question is what percentage has already left for ownership. These two identities can earn the same salary. They can live in the same neighborhood. They can appear financially similar for many years. But over a decade, their positions become entirely different. Not because of opportunity, not because of luck. Because of identity, the earner manages. The builder removes. Most people who watch this have been operating as earners their entire lives. Not from failure, not from lack of knowledge, but because no one ever introduced them to the builder identity, the mindset that views money not as something to maintain, but as something to permanently convert into structure. Now, we return to the first layer of the mechanism. Living money is the category most people understand immediately. It is the money used for rent, for food, for transport, for the necessary costs of daily life. Every household has this category. Every household must fund it. But the disciplined household does something that the average earner does not. It controls living money with precision, and it refuses to allow income increases to automatically expand it. This is called lifestyle discipline, and it is more powerful than any investment decision. Here is what typically happens when income increases. The salary rises by 20%. The apartment upgrades, the car improves, the restaurant visits become more frequent. Clothing budget quietly expands. And at the end of the year, despite the income increase, the percentage available for silent and dead money is almost identical to what it was before. The income grew. The structure did not. In a disciplined household, income increases do not translate to lifestyle increases. They translate to allocation increases. The additional income does not expand living money. It increases what flows into silent and dead money. This is the first discipline of the Lazarus Allocation Rule. Control the ceiling of living money and protect it from lifestyle expansion. When living money is disciplined, something becomes possible that was not possible before. Surplus appears. And that surplus is not an accident. It is not a reward. It is the result of a decision made before the money arrived. A decision about structure that protected income from becoming lifestyle. That surplus is what funds the next category. But silent money is not wealth yet. It is something else entirely. It is protection. It is the buffer that ensures dead money is never disturbed. It is the structural layer that allows the wealth-building category to remain untouched even when life becomes difficult. Without silent money in place, dead money gets raided. And when dead money gets raided, the Lazarus Effect collapses. The wealth that was supposed to be reborn never returns. There is something that the disciplined households of history understood about perception, about how they appeared to the world around them, that modern financial culture would find deeply counterintuitive. They made themselves appear poorer than they were, not through deception, through structure. When visible money is controlled, when living money has a ceiling and silent money is never displayed, a household that is building significant ownership can appear entirely ordinary from the outside. The same neighborhood, the same modest patterns, the same quiet lifestyle. While beneath the surface, the allocation system is compounding month by month, year by year, decade by decade. This was not accidental. It was understood that visible wealth attracts pressure. Visible wealth invites requests, expectations, social comparisons, and the pressure to match the lifestyle of others. The wealthy households of ancient tradition understood this. Ownership grows in silence. And if you feel wealthy every time money arrives, you will spend like someone who is wealthy. But if you structure your system so that money disappears quickly into categories beyond your daily reach, you will build like someone who understands where wealth actually lives. This is the identity shock. The builder does not feel rich when income arrives. The builder feels rich when money successfully disappears. Because disappearance is the beginning of the Lazarus Effect. And what comes next, the layer of the mechanism that most people never reach, is where everything changes. There is a category of money that most people never create. Not because they cannot afford it. Not because their income is insufficient. But because no one has ever named it for them clearly enough that they understood what they were supposed to do with it. This category does not sit in a savings account. It does not wait for an emergency. It does not get reviewed at the end of the month to determine whether the family can afford something. It is gone, not spent, not lost. Gone from the accessible financial world of the household, permanently converted into something that cannot be impulsively reached, cannot be emotionally justified, and cannot be slowly eroded by the pressures of daily life. This is dead money, and understanding it, truly understanding what it is, what it does, and why it must be protected at all costs, is the difference between a household that earns for a lifetime and a household that builds one. Dead money is money that has been converted into assets, into land, into ownership stakes, into tools that produce without requiring your daily presence, into structures that compound quietly while the rest of your financial life continues around them. It is called dead money not because it is wasted. It is called dead money because it is no longer alive in your lifestyle. You cannot spend it. You cannot see it in an account and feel tempted by it. You cannot justify pulling from it when the car needs repair or when a social occasion demands more than your living money allows. It is dead to your daily life. And precisely because it is dead to your daily life, precisely because it has been removed from every category of accessible spending, it is free to do what money only does when left completely undisturbed. It grows, not quickly, not dramatically, but consistently. And over long enough periods of time, consistency becomes something that speed cannot match. The book of Proverbs, chapter 21, verse 20, contains a statement that is simple on the surface and profound underneath. The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down. Ancient households did not store food and oil simply because they were practical. They stored it because they understood that the reserve, the thing removed from daily consumption, was the source of long-term stability and power. The fool consumed what arrived. The wise removed a portion of what arrived before consumption began. This same principle, applied to money, is the entire architecture of structured wealth. Dead money is the stored reserve, the converted asset, the portion of income that was removed before lifestyle had the opportunity to absorb it. And here is the structural truth that most people never encounter. Wealth does not grow in proportion to income. Wealth grows in proportion to how much money is consistently converted into dead money. Two households, identical income. One converts 15% of every payment into dead money, month after month, without exception, for 10 years. The other saves inconsistently, pulls from savings regularly, and treats every windfall as an opportunity to improve lifestyle. At the end of 10 years, the first household has not just more money, it has a fundamentally different financial structure. It has ownership, it has assets that exist independent of labor. It has the beginning of a system that can survive without the earner's daily participation. The second household has a comfortable lifestyle and a financial position almost indistinguishable from where it began. Same income, completely different outcome. The only variable was structure. This is the hidden leva, not income, not investment returns, not a particular financial product or vehicle. The hidden leva is the percentage of income that becomes dead money and the discipline to protect that percentage from every force that will attempt to reclaim it, because those forces are real and they are relentless. The first force is emergency. Something breaks, something fails, something unexpected demands financial attention. And the easiest solution, the path of least resistance, is to pull from the dead money category because it is the only place a meaningful reserve exists. This is why silent money must be established first. Silent money, the second category of the Lazarus Allocation Rule, exists for exactly this reason. It is the buffer, the protective layer between daily life and the category that must never be touched. When an emergency arrives and silent money is in place, dead money survives. When silent money does not exist, the emergency consumes dead money, and when dead money is consumed, the wealth-building mechanism resets. The compound effect that was quietly building over months or years is interrupted. The Lazarus Effect cannot occur when dead money keeps returning to daily life. This is the structural order that cannot be reversed. Living money is controlled first. Silent money is established second. Dead money is funded and protected third. In that order. Without exception, the second force that threatens dead money is lifestyle pressure. This force is subtler than emergency. It does not arrive suddenly. It accumulates. A promotion is received. A colleague upgrades their vehicle. A neighborhood comparison shifts. An opportunity to appear more successful presents itself. And slowly, invisibly, the ceiling of living money begins to rise. First, by a small amount, easily justified, barely noticeable, then by more. And eventually, the percentage flowing into dead money contracts, not because of a conscious decision to stop building, but because lifestyle expanded to meet income, and the structural discipline was never enforced with the same firmness it required. This is what the ancient principle of gathering little by little was protecting against. Not poverty, not scarcity, comfort. Comfort is the most dangerous financial condition, not crisis, not failure. Because crisis demands discipline, and failure demands restructuring, but comfort requires nothing. It simply allows the current structure, whatever it is, to continue unchanged. And if the current structure is consuming income into lifestyle, comfort will preserve that consumption indefinitely. Wealth is built by people who protect structure more than comfort. Not because comfort is wrong, but because structure is senior. Structure decides the long-term position. Comfort decides the short-term experience. And the households that built wealth across generations consistently chose structure over comfort. Year after year, quietly and without announcement. Now we arrive at the layer of thinking that separates those who build from those who remain permanently in the earning cycle. Generational thinking. The modern financial mind operates in months. Income arrives monthly. Bills are paid monthly. Savings are reviewed monthly. Financial success is measured in monthly increments. A more stable financial mind operates in years, multi-year plans, asset accumulation over 5 and 10-year periods, patience extended beyond the monthly cycle. But the ancient wealth mind operated in generations, not in what the household would have at the end of this year, in what position the household would occupy in 20 years, in what structure would be in place when the next generation inherited not just money, but the system, the philosophy, the allocation, discipline, the identity of the builder. This is not a romantic idea, it is a practical one. When your time horizon is monthly, every decision is urgent. Every opportunity feels like it must be acted on now. Every disruption to the current structure feels like an emergency. When your time horizon is generational, urgency nearly disappears. The decision about whether to redirect dead money toward a short-term lifestyle upgrade becomes simple, because the answer is evaluated not against this month's comfort, but against the position of the household in 20 years. Viewed across 20 years, the lifestyle upgrade is trivial. Viewed across 20 years, the uninterrupted compounding of dead money is transformative. The ancient principle is preserved because the time frame is honest. The wealthy think in generations, not months. There is a social dimension to this philosophy that is rarely discussed. Disciplined households, Households operate in the Lazarus Allocation Rule consistently often appear ordinary to the world around them. Sometimes they appear to be doing less well than their peers. The colleague who upgrades every few years? The neighbor whose visible lifestyle expands steadily. The social circle, where financial position is communicated through visible consumption. Against this backdrop, the builder household can appear restrained, even limited. This appearance is not accidental. It is, in a quiet sense, intentional. Visible wealth creates a social pressure system. When others perceive your financial position as significant, requests arrive, expectations shift. Spending pressure increases to match the perception. Invisible wealth creates no such pressure. The disciplined household that appears ordinary is not experiencing failure. It is experiencing structural protection. Its ownership is accumulating in silence. Its dead money is compounding without the interference of external expectations. Wealth was never loud. And the households that understood this did not perform financial success for the world around them. They built it, quietly, over years, in categories that no one could see. Now consider the relationship between work and wealth, because it requires reframing before the philosophy is complete. The common belief is that more effort produces more wealth. That longer hours, more hustle, more activity is the engine of financial progress. It is not. More effort can produce more income. Income and wealth are not the same thing. A household that earns significantly and spends proportionally is not building wealth. It is building lifestyle. And a larger lifestyle requires more income to sustain it, which creates a dependency on continued high earnings, a dependency that is fragile and labor-intensive. Structure does not require more effort. Structure requires one decision, made consistently, before spending begins. The decision to remove, to allocate, to convert income into dead money before the rest of life has the opportunity to consume it. Hustle increases income. Structure builds wealth. These are not competing philosophies. A person can work hard and structure carefully, but the work alone without the structure will not produce the outcome. And the structure, even with moderate income, produces more over time than high income without it. This is why the ancient principle emphasized the gathering little by little, not the earning quickly, not the accelerating aggressively. The quiet, consistent, disciplined, gathering compounded over the right time horizon produces outcomes that speed alone cannot. Every philosophy requires a daily practice. Otherwise, it remains an idea, and ideas without implementation are simply interesting. The Lazarus Allocation Rule is implemented at one specific moment. Not at the end of the month when you assess what is left. Not when you feel financially stable enough to begin. Not after the next income increase. At the moment income arrives. The moment payment lands, the allocation occurs. Living money is designated. Silent money is separated. Dead money is converted. In that order, before anything else. This timing is not arbitrary. It is the most important structural decision in the entire system. Because if the separation occurs after spending, it will not occur consistently. Spending is variable. Spending expands to meet available resources. If dead money is what remains after life has taken its share, dead money will often be nothing. But if dead money is removed first, if it disappears from your accessible financial world before any other category is funded, then life adapts to what remains. And it will adapt. The household will find a way to operate within the living money that is available. It always does. Because when the ceiling is fixed, creativity and discipline fill the space that comfort previously occupied. The ritual is simple. The discipline is consistent. The result, over a long enough time, is transformation. There is a warning that this philosophy carries, and it must be delivered plainly. Impatience will destroy this system faster than any external force. The Lazarus Effect does not reveal itself in months. It reveals itself in years. The dead money that disappears from your lifestyle in the early periods will feel like sacrifice without visible return. The silent money reserve will feel like money that is simply sitting unused. The discipline will feel excessive relative to the visible outcome. This is the test. Not of strategy, of identity. The earner will pull from dead money during this period. Will justify it. Will tell themselves they will rebuild it later. And in that moment, the Lazarus Effect resets. The builder will protect the structure during this period. Will tolerate the discomfort of invisible progress. Will measure success, not by what is visible, but by whether the allocation held. Because the builder understands something that patience reveals and impatience never reaches. Money that has been consistently converted into dead money for 5, 7, 10 years does not look like savings. It looks like a different financial life. It looks like ownership that earns without labor. It looks like options that were not available to the earner who spent the same decade managing the same income into the same cycle. Structure is greater than salary. Discipline builds what income cannot. Close with what was opened. The Lazarus Effect is not a financial product. It is not a strategy for a particular economic climate. It is a philosophy, one that was practiced by the households that built lasting positions, preserved in ancient wisdom, and quietly ignored by a modern world that mistook income for wealth and visibility for success. Money that stays in your life stays small. Money that leaves your life, that dies in your daily existence, that is removed before comfort can claim it, that is converted into ownership and structure and assets beyond your reach, returns as something that income alone can never produce. It returns as wealth. Not loud wealth, not visible wealth, not the performance of financial success for a world measuring the wrong things. Silent wealth. Structural wealth. The kind that compounds in the background while the household lives with discipline and patience and the quiet certainty that the system is working, even when the evidence is invisible. The ancient households knew this. The families that built positions, lasting generations knew this. And now, so do you. Wealth was never loud. Ownership grows in silence. Money must leave your life to change your life.